Hello, my name is Aubrey. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I hope to read in March. So my TBR for March was actually really hard to put together. I am kind of in just a weird mood and I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is I want to read or what exactly I'm in the mood to read. I'm feeling very unmoored. I'm feeling very pulled in different directions by different things, different genres. It's kind of like a little hodgepodge of a bunch of different things. I hope you guys are gonna vibe with that. So the first book I have is The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Megan Bannon. This is the second book in her fantasy romance series. It has a name and I'm blanking on it, but I did really enjoy the first book. This came out sometime last year, I want to say, and I was eagerly anticipating it and I didn't get to read it last year. So I was eagerly anticipating this book last year. I did not get to read it, so I would like to read it this year. I love these because they are contemporary rom-coms with a fantasy twist. The tagline for this is equal parts cozy and spicy. This is a delightful friends to lovers fantasy rom-com that's When Harry Met Sally with dragons. Which just sounds excellent. The small town of Eternity was shocked when widowed middle-aged Twyla Banneker partnered up with her neighbor and best friend, Frank Ellis, to join the Tanrian Marshals. Thankfully, patrolling the magical wilderness of Tanria is a mostly uneventful job these days, but when a dragon-sized footprint is discovered near the body of a dead marshal, the job suddenly becomes a lot more interesting. Quill, a handsome dracologist, is called in from the university to help them investigate, and for the first time since her husband died, Twyla finds herself the flattering focus of an appropriately aged man's attraction, something that seems to be bothering her longtime best friend Frank. As Twyla and Frank's investigation becomes more complicated, so does their easy friendship, and Twyla starts to realize that her true soulmate might just be the person who has lived next door all along. I don't know, this just sounds very, very cute. Like I said, I loved the first one, and I'm excited to finally get to this. I think the third one is coming out sometime this year also. I should really catch up so that I can read it when it comes out. Alright, next up I have Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This has been on my TBR for an absurdly long time. I have read Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I had mixed feelings about that book. There were some things that I loved. There were some things that I did not love. I personally don't know anyone who has read Spinning Silver and not liked it, and I really need to go ahead and read it. I have actually started this. I'm not very far. I'm on page 24, so I'm not very far. But I'm liking it a lot. I like the writing style. I like the fairy tale vibes. So this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. So we're following two characters. We're following one, Miriam, who is the daughter of a soft-hearted moneylender who kind of refuses to collect his debts and thus has put his family into poverty because he just can't bear to go and collect money from the townspeople. Miriam takes it upon herself to take up her father's job, and she starts going around the village and being like, hey, where's that money you owe us? Her success creates rumors that she can turn silver into gold, which attracts the fairy king of winter himself. He sets her an impossible challenge, and if she fails, she'll die. Yet if she triumphs, it may mean a fate worse than death. And then the second character we're following is Irina, and Irina's father schemes to wed her to the Tsar. He will pay any price to achieve his goal. However, the dashing Tsar is not what he seems, and the secret he hides threatens to consume the land of mortals and winter alike. Torn between deadly choices, Miriam and Irina embark on a quest that will take them to the limits of sacrifice, power, and love. Excited to finally, hopefully, be getting to this because I love a good fairy tale. I love a good fairy tale retelling, and I feel like I could really love this one. Next, I have Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey. I put this in my last book of the month box because Gabby over at Gabby Reads really raved about this and she made it sound so good, and so I wanted to pick it up. I believe it's a mystery thriller. Inti Flynn arrives in Scotland with her twin sister Aggie to lead a team of biologists tasked with reintroducing 14 grey wolves into the remote highlands. She hopes to heal not only the dying landscape, but Aggie too, unmade by the terrible secrets that drove the sisters out of Alaska. Inti is not the woman woman she once was either, changed by the harm she's witnessed, inflicted by humans on both the wild and one another. Yet, as the wolves surprise everyone by thriving, Inti begins to let her guard down, even opening herself up to the possibility of love. When a farmer is found dead, Inti knows where the town will lay blame. Unable to accept that her wolves could be responsible, Inti makes a reckless decision to protect them. But if the wolves didn't make the kill, then who did? And what will Inti do when the man she is falling for seems to be the main suspect? Oh god. Propulsive and spellbinding, Charlotte McConaughey's Once There Were Wolves is the unforgettable story of a woman desperate to save the creature she loves if she isn't consumed by a wild that was once her refuge. I don't know, doesn't that just sound really good? It's not even 300 pages. Like, look how tiny this book is. I've been getting more into mysteries and thrillers lately, so yeah, super excited for this one. All right, next I have Blackwood's Blue Sky by Eowyn Ivey. And I think this one is like magical realism. So we're following single mother Birdie, who is like having a really rough time with single motherhood. And this man named Arthur Nielsen offers for Birdie and her daughter to come live with him in his cabin in like the Alaskan wilderness. Against the warnings of those who care about them, Birdie and Emmeline move to Arthur's isolated cabin in the mountains on the far side of the Wolverine River. It's just the three of them in the vast black woods, far from the roads, telephones, electricity, and outside contact. But Birdie believes she has come prepared. At first, it's idyllic, and she can easily picture a happily ever after. Together they catch salmon, pick berries, and climb mountains that seem tall enough to touch the bright blue sky. But soon Birdie discovers that Arthur is something much more mysterious and dangerous than she could have ever imagined, and that a fairy tale, like the Alaskan wilderness, can be as dark as it is beautiful. So yeah, I was just really drawn to this one. Book of the Month allows you to like sample the first page of the book, and I really liked the writing style. Really hope to love this one. So one of my big goals this year is actually to be better about getting to anticipated new releases. Specifically last year, I did a really bad job of getting to any new releases that I wanted to read, and they just kept accumulating and accumulating to the point where towards the end of the year, I was so overwhelmed and I had no idea where to start and I felt so behind. And so this year, I'm trying to really prioritize the books that I am like the most excited to read. So for the month of March, I have 3 new releases that I would love to get to, which is probably too many, but the one that I definitely want to get to is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. This is the last book in the Emily Wilde's trilogy. I'm so sad that this is the last book, but I want to make sure I go ahead and read it. I probably can't talk about this too much because it is the 3rd book in the series, but basically the series centers around Emily Wilde, who is a stuffy Cambridge professor who studies fairies, and her like overly sunshiny, charismatic colleague Wendell Bambleby, who shows up at inopportune times and frustrates the hell out of her. And it's just really wonderful. Yeah, the 3rd book I will definitely be reading this month. The 2nd book that I have is Grave Empire by Richard Swan. I think it's set in the same world as his Empire of the Wolf trilogy, but I don't think you have to read that series in order to read this. Grave Empire begins the epic tale of an empire on the verge of industrial revolution, where sorcery and arcane practices are outlawed, and where an ancient prophecy threatens the coming end of days. Blood once turned the wheel of empire. Now it is money. A new age of exploration and innovation has dawned, and the Empire of the Wolf stands to take its place as the foremost power in the known world. Glory and riches await, but dark days are coming. A mysterious plague has broken out in the pagan kingdoms to the north, while in the south, the Empire's proxy war in the lands of the Wolfmen is weeks away from total collapse. Worse still is the message brought to the Empress by 2 heretic monks who claim to have lost contact with the spirits of the afterlife. The monks believe that this is the start of an ancient prophecy heralding the end of days, the Great Silence. It falls to Renata Rayner, a low-ranking ambassador to an enigmatic and vicious race of mermen, to seek answers from those who will still practice the arcane arts. But with the road south beset by war and the Empire on the brink of supernatural catastrophe, soon there may not be a world left to save. So I knew that this had mermen, which really piqued my interest, but it sounds like there may also be like werewolves. But I've been hearing great things about this. The early reviews have been glowing, and I've heard that it has like a pretty good dash of horror interspersed in the fantasy, which I'm also really excited about because one of my other favorite series, the Winnowing Flame trilogy, has a lot of horror elements, and I love that series. So I'm excited to see fantasy incorporating more horror elements. And then the last like newish release I have on my list is Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. And this is like a mix of contemporary fiction, like contemporary drama, and sci-fi, because the main character is like writing a sci-fi book or has written a sci-fi book. I think parts of the novel are like in the novel, you know? Life has thrown Zulu some curveballs over the years, but when she suddenly dropped from her university job and her latest novel is rejected, all in the middle of her sister's wedding, her life is upended. Disabled, unemployed, from a nosy, high-achieving, judgmental family, she's not sure what comes next. In her hotel room that night, she takes the risk that will define her life. She decides to write a book very unlike her others. A science fiction drama about androids and AI after the extinction of humanity, and everything changes. What follows is a tale of love and loss, fame and infamy, of extraordinary events in one world and another. As Zulu's life evolves, the lines between fiction and reality begin to blur, because sometimes a story really does have the power to reshape the world. I read exactly one book by Nnedi Okorafor. It was Benti, and I didn't totally love Benti, and I have been wanting to try something else by her, so I am really excited for this book. Again, the early reviews for this I feel like have been glowing. So next up, I want to talk about the books that I have planned for my March vlog. So this is something new that I'm trying this year, where every month I am trying to read a genre that's new to me, or an author that's new to me, or reading books that have a similar theme or a vibe, or just, you know, like that's kind of the vision I have. Last month for Valentine's Day, I decided to read like 3 popular romance rom-coms that I'd never read, because in general, I have not really delved into adult romance rom-coms. This month, I'm pivoting in a completely different direction, and I want to read horror novels. I feel like I have really been loving horror lately. I just wanted an excuse to keep exploring that. So there were a couple of books that I missed out on last year that I want to read for the upcoming vlog. First up, I have We Used to Live Here by Marcus Lior. I just feel like I was seeing this absolutely everywhere at the end of 2024, going into 2025. Like, this made so many people's best of lists. In general, I just have been hearing people really rave about this. So this is a horror novel about a family that shows up to this like queer young couple's house, and the man of the family is like, hey, I grew up here, like I used to live here. Do you mind if I show my family around? Can we look around your house? The main couple is like, I guess, like, sure. That's, you know, innocent enough, right? As soon as the strangers enter the home, uncanny and inexplainable things start happening, including the family's youngest daughter going missing and a ghostly presence materializing in the basement. Even weirder, the family can't seem to take the hint that their visit should be over. And when Charlie suddenly vanishes, Eve slowly loses her grip on reality. Something is terribly wrong with the house and with the visiting family, or is Eve just imagining things? I have been dying to get to this, and I am excited to finally be reading it this month, and it just sounds like the kind of book that like demands to be vlogged, you know? Next on my list for the vlog is The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. I'm so sorry if I just butchered that. And this, quite a chunker, just sounds so good. 12-year-old Robbie Stevens Jr. is sentenced to 6 months at the Gravestown School for Boys for kicking the son of the largest landowner in town in defense of his older sister Gloria. So begins Robbie's journey further into the terrors of the Jim Crow South and the very real horror of the school that they call the Reformatory. Robbie has a talent for seeing ghosts or haints, but what was once a comfort to him after the loss of his mother has become a window to the truth of what happened at the Reformatory. Boys forced to work to remediate their so-called crimes, have gone missing. But the haints Robbie sees hints at something worse. Through his friends Redbone and Blue, Robbie is learning not just the rules, but how to survive. Meanwhile, Gloria is rallying every family member and connection in Florida to find a way to get Robbie out before it's too late. The Reformatory is a haunting work of historical fiction, piecing together the life of the relative her family never spoke of and bringing his tragedy and those of so many others at the infamous Dozier School for Boys to light in this riveting novel. It's probably a bad idea to have a book this long for a vlog, but I don't care. I want to read this so badly. I'm dying. I'm dying. All right, and so then for the last book of the TBR, I'm torn. I either want to go with Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, which is a Camilla retelling. It's the height of the Industrial Revolution, and 10 years into Lenore's marriage to steel magnate Henry, their relationship has soured. When Henry's ambitions take them from London to the remote British moorlands, a shocking carriage accident brings the mysterious Camilla into their lives. Camilla, who is weak and pale during the day, but vibrant at night. Camilla, who stirs up something deep within Lenore, and before long, girls from the local villages fall sick, consumed by a terrible hunger. As the days of the hunt draw closer, Lenore begins to unravel, questioning the role she has been playing all these years, torn between regaining her husband's affection and the cravings Camilla has awakened. Lenore will soon uncover a darkness in her household that will place her at terrible risk. This one sounds really good. This was my aardvark pick for last month, and again, I've been like really dying to read it. I love vampire novels. I'm a simple girl who loves vampires, though. This could really be a contender for that vlog. But I also really want to read American Rapture by C.J. Leede. And this is, I think, horror satire. Never been kissed, about to get screwed. A virus is spreading across America, transforming the infected and making them feral with lust. Sophie, a good Catholic girl, must survive the hellscape of the Midwest to try and save her twin brother while the world around her burns. Along the way, she discovers there are far worse fates than dying a virgin. So this is another one that I just really, really want to read. If you, my lovely subscribers, have a preference on which one I read in that vlog, please let me know because I would love for someone to help me break this tie. If not, it will probably just come down to like whatever I'm in the mood for like the day I start the vlog. But yeah, both of these just sound so good and I desperately want to read them. I think 4 books in a vlog sounds too long. If you're asking like why not just read all 4, that sounds way too long, especially with the Reformatory on the list because that's a real chunky book. As I'm sitting here, I just remembered that the new Hunger Games book comes out this month, which probably also should have been on my TBR. Oops. Oh, so yeah, let's stick Sunrise on the Reaping. Let's just stick that on here at the tail end. Anyway, what books are you going to be reading in March? What are you most excited for? How is your reading year going? I felt like mine kind of started slowly and has gotten better. I feel like recently I've definitely gotten into like a good rhythm with reading. So if you are interested in watching my rom-com vlog, I will leave that here. And if that doesn't interest you, I will also leave my most recent reads wrap up right here. Please like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope to see you next time. Bye!